And to be honest, I think we are kind of the RWA L1, right? And I think real-world assets need a layer 1 solution for a number of reasons, and that makes it exciting to me, right?
I think I'll take that question and turn it into something which I find interesting, is community, and why community is more important than tech when it comes to L2, L3s, right? So a lot of people are talking about these these high tech, like high throughput, all the sexy things that has an L2 or L3. If it was the case that tech was really the most important thing, Bitcoin wouldn't be here today. So I think Bitcoin is like the obvious example of like tech doesn't really matter as much as social consensus about what makes something great. And that's actually why Ronin is so great. Like we're DPoS, like it really works, but at the same time we have this really core community that loves everything we do, versus Axie and all these other games. So more about community rather than tech, and tech is a commodity that can be turned on or turned off and used if you actually need it.
From my standpoint, we're still very excited about Solana, about the functionality of the network itself and the performance of the network. It works quite well for us, and we're able to build out real-time game systems and game experiences while doing so, still executing a lot of that logic directly on the blockchain. So no interest from our side to migrate to any other chain, but just as perhaps a couple of notable protocols, I would mention AVAX, I think is doing a really good job with the promotion of the gaming segment specifically. And then of course the guys at Ronin continue to be impressive. Obviously their start with Axie Infinity, but the way they're building out the Ronin protocol now and bringing games in, and the fact that they have this deep user base that is interested in engaging in any of the games that launch there. So I think there's some great competitors out there, but really depends on what it is that draws you to the technology itself. And for us, Solana just executes very well.
Ethereum. Yes, it's just like I feel safe, right? It feels like trend setting. It feels like, I mean, it could move faster. They could solve challenges, but it's especially things go up and down. Where do you go? Who do you work with? And you look at cornerstones, Bitcoin, Ethereum.
I mean, each chain has its own unique, I would say, more user base and use cases. Solana, to me, I think the value proposition at Solana, like a faster finality, high TPS chain, is really good for like game industry, certain use cases. But I'm not sure like the actual, because it's a multi-purpose blockchain. I don't know their go-to-market strategy. For Phantom, I think Phantom is focusing on more into game industry. Last time I checked, meme coins. I'm sure with the Sonic launch, they're probably planning for something really exciting. Ethereum is huge, so there's so many things happening in Ethereum, I can't even keep up with it.
Well, obviously, layer 1, Tezos. Layer 2, Etherlink, which is a EVM-compatible rollup built on top of Tezos. Etherlink, it's basically drop-in replacement for Ethereum, but it's a layer 2, and it's powered by Tezos on Tezos. So that's my favorite layer 1 and layer 2, so those are easy questions.
I love dydX. The stack is fantastic. It's moving $225 billion US of trading volume on the chain, which never have a hiccup. Really solid teams, really solid ecosystem of validators also. I love Ethereum for a long time. I love the layer 2s, people like Scroll, like some others, which are also pushing the, I would say, new frontiers in terms of technology only. So these are the people I love to follow up and spend time on. So I just list to you my favorite project, or project I'm paying attention to. The one thing I can share with you is how do I look at all these projects? As you're mentioning, there is so many new L1, L2, and watch out for the L3. I'm sure they are coming our way, right? So the way I try to look at this is how software has been evolving in some other generations of software. We are in Web 3, but how did software evolve in Web 2? We are reinventing many things, but humans are humans, and eventually they will all converge to possibly 5 to 10 stacks only. So it's very important to come back to the fundamentals and thinking why Java has been successful, why HTML was successful at the time, and where is HTML today? And I think the same kind of pattern should kind of surface in the layer 1 and layer 2 space. So this is the kind of lenses I'm trying to put on this market, and thinking at the end of the day, people don't need 25 L1s. So there will be a convergence, and you want to pay attention to the metrics such as number of developers, history of development, for how long has it been the project. And this is where you can essentially probably take some safe bet and not trying to jump on every shiny things around you.
I love Bitcoin, of course. Like with all its flaws, it also has some strengths and sort of brought out the vision. I like the vision around Ethereum, of course. We had an open source project for colored coins, which was tokens on Bitcoin, and we had the founders of Ethereum, Vitalik and another guy in that project. So of course we like Ethereum for bringing that, but there are of course other technologies that are good out there. A lot of people trying to solve issues around user onboarding and scalability, but yeah, we have another architecture and we've been thinking about it for a long time that I think makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, historically I would say ETH. Since day one, in Taiwan, in 2015, I was one of Vitalik's disciples. I had dinner with him at Din Tai Fung, Microsoft Taiwan, hosted this little dinner, and that's where I met him for the first time. That's when I decided to commit my life to Ethereum. So I've been building things for Ethereum ever since. But I think, the space has progressed and become a little bit too political. The reality is the underlying blockchains are just back-end infrastructure that the end user is not going to care about, right? Like in the future, when you buy this snowboard token, you don't know if it's running on, Ethereum or Solana or whatever. You just care about the token. So, I think, but I think the best ecosystems right now are absolutely Ethereum because it has this huge legacy, and Solana because it's got so much momentum. Yeah.
We're moving on-chain identities. So we're moving basically social and professional profiles on-chain, verified skills and credentials, and we need to pick a home base. So I actually just did basically a SWOT analysis of all the home ecosystems and blockchains to do so, and I haven't picked a favorite yet. But I think the top ones that we're circling down on are CK Sync, Solana, as well as BNB.
I'm very biased. I'm building on our own ecosystem Bitlayer. We're EVM compatible, but on Bitcoin. If it's not EVM, very monolithical, proof of stake ecosystem, I like Tone. Tone is interesting this cycle. Yeah, something fundamentally new.
I'm not too much of a tribal person where I'm convinced that one ecosystem is the best. I do like the ETH ecosystem a lot. I think there's a ton of value. It's very smart. I really like how it is developed from the start. I think the innovation is cool. Obviously, we're big in the Solana space. It must be my favorite. When it comes to community and the energy and the organization there, I like Solana, and I might actually favor the Ethereum model a bit more, personally, but I also really we're building on Solana and it's just so usable. It's fast, it's cheap, we're running everything on chain and it's working well, and that's amazing for me. That would not be possible on another chain. So I'm saying Solana is my favorite.
So I think that there's a lot of experimentation that's happening across them all. I try to stay very agnostic and focus on just building an exchange we integrate into all of these, but let the customers decide and then we move. So as an example, Render as an example moved recently from Ethereum onto Solana. So that was an interesting move to say, okay, actually the tokens now are moving from one chain to another, but there are still many people that are very bullish about Ethereum. So I think it's very difficult to tell what will come. My main thesis is that we're not going to have thousands of coins in the future. There needs to be a consolidation, and many of the coins will go to zero, I believe. But layer one, still I'm very bullish on Bitcoin, obviously. I think with Solana and Ethereum and others, we'll have to see what kind of plays out there.
Well, it's getting a bit confusing now. I think Charles said in his speech this morning there are 40,000 blockchains. And if you've got 40,000 blockchains, layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, layer 0, then really it's for the Web3 guys to try and make sense of that and turn that into a usable touch point for retail. So try and take all of that technology, all of those tokens, all of that liquidity, all of that capability and turn it into something that's usable, an experience that's a usable experience. I am very happy that Emergo and Zilliqa have reached an agreement to partner and bridge their respective communities. The more bridging of communities we have, the more adoption we get, the easier it is for people to transport value.
Well, Bitcoin, yeah. And I think Base has been doing really, really well. Like, I think there's a clear value proposition. And of course, I'm biased. Coinbase is one of our investors, so I also obviously like Base.